Hello, this video is made in the context of the critical review video of the CR1 submission requirement and the course coded and titled APS1049 Management Consulting for Engineers with the University of Toronto. I submitted a case study analysis some time ago on the transformation of India's domestic airlines. The case study was about the Indian air industry and recognizing the reasons for the growth and failure of certain airlines in the business of Indian aviation. The case study was built on the feedback of hundreds of Indian domestic air travelers and the live financial data, along with the data that was openly available with the Airport Authority of India. So let's discuss the critique of my work. The critique is divided into 6 sections. I'll share my screen so as to be able to see the critique paper, and I'll stop my paper. And I'll stop my video here. So let's start the critique of my work. The critique is divided into 6 sections, along with many subsections that we will go through one by one. The first section is problem or issue or topic at hand. Talking about the first section, which deals with the problem or issue at hand, we first have identification of the issue or topic. I believe that I have provided enough introduction and background to understand the importance of the topic at hand. There were many financial and historical data and facts presented to support the importance of the issue and the motivation of why I chose this case study. Along with the introduction, I included a part of the literature where different opinions and different data to confirm our hypothesis were also presented. A little background was also provided into the Indian air industry to understand the depth of the problem and how the problem posed an opportunity for the forthcoming years where different individuals in the society could make business an advantage of. Due to this, I believe my introduction and identification of the problem belong to the level 4 category, where the issue is considered critically and described comprehensively. The background stands proof that all the information provided is necessary for better and full understanding. Talking about the assumptions, in our case of the Indian aviation market, we relied heavily on data and not on individual opinions, as the case study is built on something that happened several years ago. And the fact that certain of these cases took place in the real world makes the case and solutions much more relevant and proof-worthy. There were some assumptions involved, such as the working attitude of the government and the Airport Authority of India. These assumptions are a general notion of the system that is present in India and is commonly available knowledge. I believe that I was able to identify and examine my own and author's assumptions, but not in a systematic way. I was able to identify several relevant contexts presented directly or indirectly in the case study. Finally, I believe I justify these relevant contexts by using them in meaningful ways to make concepts and issues and solutions clearer. Hence, my work stands in the mix of 3 levels. Now, talking about the analysis of problem or of the issue or of the topic at hand, the first thing that we discuss are the methods. I rate my work on level 4 in this criterion, as I believe I had the correct sources of data to perform my analysis on, and the solutions or suggestions presented in my work are in fact some of the techniques adopted by companies around India that have proven to be very successful. The fact that the entire work is historical, the financial evidence of these companies is readily available in the open market, and the success and failure of such companies are common knowledge in India, is also proof of the various methods discussed. The next point to be discussed are alternate point of views. When talking about the different opinions available in the literature and generally, I believe we went through a certain number of opinions of why these airlines are not able to operate smoothly in the country of India. Although such opinions were criticized and ignored eventually because the realization of the data now, after almost 2 decades, says something about the language presented by the author. The opinions were acknowledged and highlighted. Along with the opinions, the complexities of the issues were discussed heavily. The fact that the presumption of cheap flights being the most important criteria while selecting flights for an average class Indian was presented in the introduction and finally was disregarded in the conclusion because the data showed and said something else. The problem is not the cost of the flight, but several things. A complex web of issues that the companies failed to understand in an industry that was very amateur in India till the case was discussed. And hence, I believe I belong to the level 3 category in this matter of alternated points of views. Coming to the credibility of my material, of the resources, my material, or the data that we have used, the information, the information used in our case study was derived from data collected by reviews of real users of the Indian domestic air industry and the Airport Authority of India. The data is also represented in history. Due to the age of the problem, the opinion of experts is taken directly as facts, and I had no questioning done to the facts presented by the experts. And hence, I believe the rating for this particular section would be a mixture of level 4 and level 1. Coming to the conclusion, the first part in conclusion talks about limitations, and the limitations in our case are too few. Most of these limitations are discussed in the case study under the analysis section, but are not given much importance in the entire context of the problem. The limitations are limited in scope to our problem, and hence they do not pose as a challenge in our case. Hence, I have rated my sector, like my work, according to section as level 2 because I did only mention them briefly, and they had no attention to be provided in the larger context. Next, talking about integration, the solution is well presented as another study of a company that has proven and succeeded for many years in the same domestic Indian aviation industry. The realization of the success and reasons and strategies used by this company is well presented in the recommendation section of my critical work. The reasons and strategies were well described and related to the problems discussed during the analysis section. Due to the mentioned reasons, I believe I can rate myself with a combination of level 4 and level 3, as I could have used the data available to me in a much better fashion to form to form new and emerging opinions. Going to the next section, talking about conclusions or solutions. The conclusion provided in the critical review is similar in structure to that of the recommendation that I've provided. The conclusion is reasonably integrated with the problem at hand and the different issues that were realized in the analysis and the introduction. It could have been a little better if I had the flexibility of writing more. I believe I can range myself again in levels 3 and 4 because I was able to use the case of Indigo Airlines to discuss my solution present, my research, and finally to showcase my ability to use evidence. That is one of the reasons that I, put myself in level 4. And finally, I could have provided the conclusion or the solution in a better way had I had the flexibility to write beyond the number of words. Uh, Now coming to the section of creativity, as the opinions and strategies are available easily in the literature. uh, I'm talking about the opinions and strategies that I presented. The ideas presented to by me are not very fresh, but again, they are a proof of success in the real world. Airlines around the Indian aviation industry has had used these solutions or strategies or methods that I have discussed in the recommendation section and they have succeeded, became a monopoly, and are still doing good enough business when the entire airline industry is struggling post COVID. Due to the following reasons, I believe I belong to the level 2 and level 3, as I did provide enough depth to the problem and solution I had. Of course, I could not, I was not able to create fresh ideas, as my level of expertise in airlines and business of airlines is not very, very high, I can say. But I was able to create some new insights, and hence I think I belong in level 2 and level 3. And then talking about communication and adaptation in our last stage, the sixth stage, I was able to discuss certain key issues at hand and able to communicate them well along with the data to justify my opinions. And any management consultant or data scientist for that matter should be able to explain the problem and solution with sufficient context, which I believe I have achieved. Although there are a few points I could have improved upon, such as the improvement of the structural representation, which I felt was a bit haphazard. And hence, I believe I should belong to level 3 category of this section more than level 4, uh, because I could have structured it in a better way. I could have done a little more research to form new opinions, and yeah, that's why I think I belong to level 3 category. So that marks the end of the critique of work presented, and presented in my critical review. And I believe I could and I would definitely improve upon my work in the coming months of the course. And thank you so much for watching. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.